Good evening, my fellow exorcists, and welcome to the Lair of the Film Exorcist. Tonight, I will be reviewing the Book of Boba Fett. On the sands of Tatooine, bounty hunter Boba Fett and mercenary Fennec Shand navigate the galaxy's underworld and fight for Jabba the Hutt's old territory. Now, this is technically a spin-off series to The Mandalorian, which we reviewed, I believe, last year, and due to this, it takes place technically right after they kill Bib Fortuna in the end credits scene of The Mandalorian Season 2, so this series is not well liked by the Star Wars fans nowadays. I mean, I don't mind it, but I can see where they're coming from. I mean, some people are confused by the story structure that this decided to take, mainly relying on a backstory or flashbacks for the first few episodes, and then slipping off to go essentially do Mandalorian Season 3 without it being Mandalorian Season 3. Also, like other people, I didn't mind the last 3 episodes. I actually thought they were fun. The only problem is, they didn't feel like Boba Fett. Boba Fett's there, but it's essentially no longer his story after that, near the end. I love watching him live with the Tusken Raiders, learning how to be part of a tribe, learning to give up his ways as a bounty hunter, essentially. And on top of that, also gaining more lore from the Tusken Raiders. I love how similar they are to the Native Americans. Well, Native Americans and many other indigenous tribes out there, because they live off the land. If you've seen any of the comics from like the Old Republic era of Legends, or you've played Knights of the Old Republic, you would know that essentially, because they became too technologically advanced, the Rakatan Empire, this empire of aliens, tries to enslave them, and when they try to fight back, the entire planet of Tatooine is essentially glassed to the point of being just a desert, no longer a flourishing planet like Endor or Alderaan or any number of Star Wars planets. So because of this, they now have to constantly hunt for water, hunt for these melons that we see in the Book of Boba Fett, which was also technically featured in The Mandalorian Season 2 when Cod Vamp is asked to take a drink from one to show that he respects the Tusken Raiders, where here Boba Fett takes the melon and essentially becomes one with the tribe after being captured, almost being killed multiple times, and killing a monster like his ancestors, creating a gaffy stick, saving the Tusken Raiders from the biker gang that's been going after them, plus the Pike Syndicate that's been terrorizing them every time they go past their camp, which we will get to the whole big thing with the Pike Syndicate later on in this video. This all takes place after Return of the Jedi, essentially. Like, Boba Fett gets out of the pit, similar to how he does in Legends, except in Legends it took him a lot longer, and he had to blow up the pit of Carkoon, the Sarlacc pit, where here he just burns it and digs his way out. Very similar to concept art that was created by fans, and from Legends, where he does dig himself out of the carcass of the Sarlacc pit. He gets robbed by the Jawas, who sell his armor to Cobb Vanth later on in Mandalorian Season 2. And here Boba Fett is forced to live without his armor, without his way of life. So he learns from the Tuskens a new way of life, which then brings us to the Book of Boba Fett, we see from Boba Fett's point of view what happened with Fennec Shan and the Mandalorian and that other really annoying bounty hunter that I'm glad died in the Mandalorian. We also see what happens after, how Fennec was saved through electronic modifications made by the mod. It's supposed to be based on the United Kingdom's idea of mods for the gangs, like it's steampunk stuff. Because of this, Fennec owes him a life debt, essentially similar to what Han Solo and Chewbacca have. They get the Slave 1 back. Yeah, I'm not calling it the fire spray. That is very fucking stupid. I'm calling it its original name, Slave 1. So they get that back after a huge fight in Jabba's palace. Then they kill the bikers that supposedly killed the Tuscans, but we learn it was actually the Pike Syndicate who's now trying to take over Tatooine. Aside from the flashback scenes, we watch as Boba Fett is essentially trying to take over Jabba the Hutt's position as the crime lord of Tatooine. He gains following from these, I guess you could call them like a biker gang, or they essentially ride space scooters. So he's got them. He's got 2 Gamorrean guards that were still around after Jabba died. He's now got Black Chrysanthemum, Wookiee from the comics, who fought with Boba Fett for a while beforehand. The Hutts do try to take back Jabba's throne, but they only do it for like 1 episode and then go back to Nal Hutta, the Hutt planet. So they're out of the story for now, unless we get a Book of Boba Fett Season 2, or they may show up in The Mandalorian, we don't know, or maybe a comic story. Essentially, we don't even know who the hell these cousins are. Here's where the story gets better. Boba Fett's side is okay. It's very Mafia-esque, similar to like The Untouchables, but it's essentially boring a bit. Like, we see the same town over and over again, we go to the same locations, and we essentially get the same story. Like, he's going to the mayor doesn't know about the assassination attempt on his life. We go to the mayor's office a lot in this show. Season 5, it starts picking up. We get the Mandalorian back. We see his side with the Darksaber after Luke took Grogu away. We see him on one of his bounties. We learn that his clan of Mandalorians, which is now just the armor and Pre Vizsla's descendant, Paz Vizsla, they tell him that he's no longer a Mandalorian unless he goes to Mandalore to go bathe in the water in the mines. So he's no longer a Mandalorian technically, despite following the ways, because he took off his helmet, which, yeah, I will admit is kind of stupid, but that's the elitist of what used to be the Death Watch. Now he's going off to help Boba Fett after getting a new ship. We meet another BD droid, like the one from Jedi Fallen Order. Din Djarin gains an N1 starfighter, which has been modified almost like a hot rod. And then he goes off to go see Grogu again after the armor gives him essentially chainmail for Grogu that was made out of the spear that was used to beat Moff Gideon in Mandalorian Season 2. So then we get this whole story of watching Luke try to train Grogu. Ahsoka's there for a few scenes trying to guide Luke a bit and guiding Din Djarin away from seeing Grogu, letting him become the Jedi he needs to be. Essentially, this is my favorite part, like most people, because we've never seen Grandmaster Luke try and train someone in canon. Like, we saw it with Rey, but that was like mean old Master Luke who's been downtrodden and essentially broken because of Ben. But this is new Luke, who's trying to use the knowledge that he gained from the books and trying to use the knowledge that Obi-Wan and Yoda gave him. He's trying to essentially make Grogu his first student, but Grogu feels conflicted by the Mandalorian and his duties as a foundling. So we then get the choice between whether Grogu will go with Luke and train as a Jedi using Master Yoda's lightsaber, which at first I thought was destroyed, but then apparently Yoda rebuilt his lightsaber on Dagobah in something called the Age of the Rebellion comics. This is where I hate it. Like, I wanted Grogu to take the lightsaber, go train with Luke, become a better Jedi, and gain the knowledge that he lost so that he can become a better Jedi and help the Mandalorian. Instead, he chooses the armor. He gets sent back in the last episode to go help Din with the chainmail armor. But yeah, I'm not too keen on the choice to become a Mandalorian and give up the lightsaber. What the hell, Grogu? But yeah, back to Boba Fett, which is supposed to be the main character of this, but technically no, which doesn't make sense. Din goes back to Boba after talking to Cobb Vanth in the newly titled Freetown. Tries to get them to join the war against the Pikes. Cobb Vanth agrees, says he'll do his best to help, and almost dies to one of the most badass bounty hunters in all of Star Wars history, next to Jango, Boba, and Dirge. We get Cad Bane in real life, or live action, which is pretty awesome, and he looks good in this, despite what a lot of people say. I love Cad Bane. He's been in a lot of things. He's a really good bounty hunter. He is essentially the man with no name in... Essentially, he's Clint Eastwood. Here, he tries to kill Cobb Vanth, but wounds him as like a message. Kills this really annoying deputy that was part of Freetown. And in doing so, he riles up the members of Freetown, and they turn into a small militia to help Boba Fett at the last minute. The Gamorrean guards die because they get pushed off a cliff, which is like the most annoying way to kill off a bunch of characters that the audience kind of liked from the lore of Star Wars. But yeah, I kind of found it stupid, and I actually like the Gamorrean guards in this. Black Chrysanthemum gets attacked by Trandoshans after ripping off a Trandoshan's arm. He survives after killing them all. The mod squad, I want to call them, because I hate calling them the scooter squad, almost get killed by, I forget what the hell species they were. I think they were the Aqualish. And Fennec Shan leaves the battle for a while to go kill all the leaders of the Pike Syndicate. They're losing the battle because the Pikes bring in these really awesome giant droids that I like to call giant droidicas because of their shield and the way they shoot and the noise, and they use a lot of the sound and ideas from concepts from Attack of the Clones, and they are based on the droidicas. Then Grogu comes in, saves Din Djarin, or tries to save him from one of the droids, which then we bring in the Rancor from episode 3, I believe. So we get to see Boba Fett ride his Rancor like one of the Sisters of Dathomir in Legends and the Empire at War video game, Forces of Corruption. which is a really awesome scene, and it's a huge reference to King Kong. We get the battle between Cad Bane and Boba Fett, which was actually the best scene with Boba Fett in it. Cad Bane essentially almost kills him. Boba Fett pulls out the gaffy stick, kills Cad Bane, which we don't know if he's technically dead because his heart monitor was still going off, so it's possible that he's still alive because nobody is really ever dead in Star Wars, as Luke told us in The Last Jedi. Boba Fett and Fennec Shand come into their way as the major domo of Mos Espa and Tatooine. So yeah, essentially that's the story of what happened. And while I love the last 3 episodes, and I love the lore that it added to the Tusken Raiders and the rest of Tatooine, essentially this is a terrible series about Boba Fett. Like, the story structure is a mess, and they just essentially decided to go with turning it into The Mandalorian because a lot of people were complaining about how this show was structured. Again, I love the last 3 episodes, but the first 4 were just a mess. A huge mess. Doesn't mean I don't like watching them. Trust me, I do. I love watching them. It's just, it didn't have to be a Boba Fett show. I'm gonna be honest, this wasn't the best show to make. Like, at this point, we're just hoping Obi-Wan, the Obi-Wan series is a lot better. Because I love this, but they could have done a whole lot better. I mean, we could have gotten something like a young Boba Fett series where we get to see how he comes up in the world. We watch Cad Bane train him. We watch him essentially go from the mess that we see in the Clone Wars to this badass bounty hunter that we see in episode 4. But we didn't. And essentially this is Disney's first failure in my book, next to Resistance in their Star Wars TV show genre. Like, that's why, again, I like this. I'm sadly gonna have to give it a a 6. Like, the good parts are so good that I can forgive a lot of the bad things, but they shouldn't have been bad in the first place. They should have done a better job fleshing out the story. I think this series should have been a lot longer. The episodes, while they were almost an hour long, just didn't have enough time to develop the entire story. Plus, it gets boring seeing Tatooine for so long. I mean, one of the reasons why a lot of people like The Mandalorian was because, yes, while it did stay on one planet for like 2 episodes, it kept on moving. Like, we saw all these new planets, all these new people, and here we're just seeing the same thing over and over again. So yeah, 6. I wish this could have been saved, but let's be honest, most people would prefer to see the last 3 episodes to the last 4 episodes, or just watch Boba Fett become a Tusken Raider instead of watching him become a crime lord. Like, please don't give us a second season of the Book of Boba Fett. I'm agreeing with a lot of people here. Don't give us a second season. Maybe give us a comic spin-off, or make it a part of The Mandalorian, like We can go back there once in a while, but don't make a second season. Don't waste our time. Do similar to what you did with Solo and Kira, where we still see Kira in the comics, but we didn't get a Solo 2. Like, I love Solo. I want to see a Solo 2, but yeah. Keep this at one season. That's all I'm going to say. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click the little notification bell for more videos, more of our content, and just, if you're going to watch this, only watch the flashback scenes and watch the stuff with the Mandalorian and Luke. Or if you do have to watch this and you're a completionist of Star Wars or you're a huge fan of Star Wars, give it a try. Let me know in the comments how you like it. But yeah, this isn't my favorite by far, and I really hate the droid series, so that's saying something. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time.